The webinar is about to begin.
That is us. Here we are. Okay, so we always want to do our talk through our disclaimer at the beginning. Yes, Dr. Saunders is a great doctor, but we just want to remind you that he is not your personal doctor. So our webinar is being made available for informational, educational purposes only. It's not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. So always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard here. So we just want to make sure we share that with everyone. In a few minutes, we will you can start submitting your questions, and that can be a little bit confusing. We do have two separate places where we have some conversations going on. So we do love to hear from you in the chat. So you can tell us where you're watching from. If this is your first time watching the webinar, I love to see that. All that can go on in the chat. That's more of our conversations. But if you have a question for Dr. Saunders, it's super helpful if you would put those in the Q&A section. So if you can find that little toolbar area that has all your Zoom features down there, you'll see the question mark, which has a Q&A. And if you don't see it right away, sometimes it's because your window is shrunk up a little too much. If you click those little three dots that say more, lots of times it'll show up there. And then you just want to open up that Q&A, and you're just going to type your question and hit submit, and we will take it from there. And it just helps if the questions go there, because then we can kind of group them and they don't get lost in the chat. Whereas conversations in the chat, if you have a question buried in there, sometimes we don't see it. And then something else, we always love to hear your results. So if you are using any of our products, or you've had some, great results from any of maybe the solution kits, like you talked about the diabetes solution kit, if you would email us at support@bartonpublishing.com, or if you want to drop your information in the chat, I can reach out to you privately. We just love to hear what's working for you, what's not working for you. If you're interested in sharing your results, we love to have that as well, but we're not going to force you into anything. We just really want to celebrate with you, and like Dr. Saunders says, we want to help people more, and by you sharing what's working for you, that helps us to help people more. So either email or drop that in the chat, and I will work with you on getting that to you. So let me get that off there. And then, okay, here we are back. Okay, so Dr. Saunders, let's get into our topic today. All right, so the last couple of weeks, we've really been diving into the GLP-1s. We've talked about GLP-1s for weight loss. We've talked about GLP-1s for blood sugar. But today we're going to, take a little bit of a different spin on that. We are going to be talking about how to activate your body's natural GLP-1. So that is a great topic, I think, to start. So if you've turned on the news or you're scrolling through social media, you're going to see the headlines about, these miraculous weight losses, in GLP drugs. They're commercials, they're everywhere. But you might be wondering, well, is there a way that I can support my metabolism without these shots? Or I've even seen some pills. I mean, there's just all kinds of things going on. So that's why we're here today. We want to dive deep into some powerhouses that you can use. One of them will be berberine. It's been around for a long time, but we also want to talk about some other ways that you can naturally activate your body's GLP-1. Dr. Saunders was talking about turmeric, and then there's just some other things you can do. So Dr. Saunders is an expert in metabolic medicine, and he's helped countless people transition to that long-term vitality, and he is going to help us separate, some of the hype from the health. So today we're going to talk about how berberine actually can talk to your cells, and the pros and cons of using berberine and something like turmeric versus GLP-1 prescriptions, how to know what's right for your body, and then other ways to activate your GLP-1 naturally. So if you have tried berberine or something else before, type in the Q&A, maybe what's the the number one thing that you want to know about making it work better for you, how to get the results. So you can type those down. We're going to try and get, to as many of those questions as we can. If you don't have a specific question about berberine, that's fine. You can also just simply let us know in the chat, have you tried using berberine or taking turmeric for this? Or if you haven't, if you're like, I don't know anything, that's fine. We just kind of want to get that baseline of where you're at. So, all right, with all of that, Dr. Saunders, let's jump in and start. Let's start with berberine, and then we can get to some of the other natural ways, talk about turmeric and some of the other natural ways. I've been hearing a lot that they're calling berberine nature's Ozempic because I don't even know why. I want to know, is that accurate? Um, I can't imagine that it's going to work the same way as a GLP shot, but let's just get into that. So, is that true? Is it nature's Ozempic? And if so, like, how's it working? So let's start with berberine and then we'll move on.
Okay, so berberine is nature's Ozempic in a sense. Let's look at the four ways that GLP-1s work. There's four things that they do. Number one, they increase insulin. They increase insulin, and so that lowers blood glucose. But what's important about that is it also lowers the pancreas putting out an excessive amount of insulin. So it kind of stops that, but it's dependent on glucose. So as the glucose goes up, the GLP-1 says, "Hey, make more insulin." And while it's making more insulin, the other thing it does, it suppresses glucagon. So it stops you from making extra sugar. So some people like if they eat proteins and stuff, they just make too much sugar. Well, whereas the GLP-1, when you're eating proteins, it's going to stop that glucagon from making extra sugar. The third thing it does is to slow down digestion. It makes everything go slower. And that's important if you're eating protein because those amino acids have to be all cut up into individual pieces, and each individual amino acid has to be absorbed. And there's in the system of absorption, there's competition where it can absorb like lysines and tyrosines at the same time, but it can only get one at a time. So it has to slow down so it could get that one and then that one too. So it's not a simple system. And so this GLP-1 is important to slow down to get your digestion. But at the same time, the fourth thing it does is to work in your brain and slow down or give you satiety, to slow down your hunger mechanism so you're not hungry anymore. In working those four things, you think about that and you go, wow, that's awesome. I want more of that. That's really important. And that's why everybody's saying that these injections are magical, because they're just wonderful and magical. Well, what about berberine? What does that do? Okay, this is actually better than the injections. So the injections stimulate your GLP-1 receptors constantly for a whole week. And then what does your body do? Ugh, you're just like too overpowering to me. Just get away. And it stops working completely. Berberine keeps working forever. Do you know why? Because it only works on the release of your own natural GLP-1. And your natural GLP-1 works for 10 minutes that it's normally going to work for. But you're going to make more and you're going to be more sensitive to it. So it works, and it can provide as much stimulation as the injections, the pharmaceuticals. But what it doesn't do is stimulate constantly for a whole week. But you can keep taking it, and as you're eating, you'll have that. You won't feel as hungry. Your things will slow down and digest better and absorb better. And At the same time, you'll make more insulin. Your blood sugar will go down, and that's all been noted in the past. Every people have noted that in the past, but they didn't know that it was being caused by GLP-1. Now we have better understanding of how the system works.
Mhm.
So berberine is an excellent tool for so many of the things that we have in our modern age. Just the fact that like we have refrigerators and we can eat ice cream any time of day or night, and we can just open the refrigerator and look for whatever we want day and night, and just eating constantly. The berberine actually helps that to be like. I don't know if you remember in the last one I talked about, one of my patients came in and she said, I just want to shut down the food noise.
Oh, yes, the food noise.
And that's all she wanted. She wanted the injections just to shut off the food noise. Well, guess what? Berberine can help with that. So yeah, yeah, it's absolutely um
How
uh
many milligrams are we talking about?
we're talking about the ideal is around 500 to 750 milligrams. So the 750 is usually taken twice a day, 500 taken 3 times a day. You do need to separate it. Don't take it all together at once. Separate them out because they don't last for a long time. They only last like during a meal. And so that's the same with GLP-1. It only lasts during a meal. So if you have you take one pill with every meal, you'll have that benefit, each time.
Okay, so
And
with a
uh,
meal
and
is good. Okay.
so with a meal, I think is the best way to do it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
that's the berberine part.
All right. That is the berberine part. Okay. So I've got okay, talk about the turmeric part now. You had mentioned that earlier, and then I've got a lot of other questions.
Okay. Turmeric has something in it called curcumin.
Mhm.
Curcumin is an anti-inflammatory. It shuts down inflammation. GLP-1s. Why do so many people lack the GLP-1 and they have this constant food noise? It's because their intestines are inflamed. And they're inflamed for a lot of different reasons. Bad bacteria growing in your intestines, celiac disease, colitis of some kind, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, all of these inflammatory irritable bowel syndrome, all of these, they are stopping you from making GLP-1. And
Mm,
and
okay.
so then you get an injection, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I'm not hungry anymore. The food noise is shut off. And I don't eat as much and I lose weight. Of course, it makes sense. But one of the things turmeric does is to shut down the inflammation that's preventing you from making the GLP-1 in the first place. So curcumin is a very good idea, especially if you have any kind of inflammatory condition in your intestines.
Okay. Okay. I've been reading a little bit about berberine and the gut connection and how the impact on the gut bacteria. And so that can that play a role in how it manages the blood sugar too?
Oh, absolutely. Because then you get the GLP-1 and then you make more insulin, you make less glucagon. So glucagon, you're not pumping sugar out of your liver and your blood sugar drops down, and then your insulin goes down. Yeah, it's the whole pattern, the whole picture improves when you start making your normal hormones the way you're supposed to.
Exactly, exactly. Okay. Well, okay, so I do think a lot of the the intrigue, why people are really going towards those GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic. I think a lot of people are wanting the rapid weight loss. Like they want it now. They want to do it quickly. We are in definitely a society of where we want things now. We want, so, but for some, not everybody needs to lose 50 pounds, or maybe people want to lose weight slower. They want to, maybe fix their kind of their metabolic sluggishness or whatever. So is berberine then maybe a more appropriate place to start for something like that? If you're,
Oh, well, Berberine is a great place to start anytime. Um, it's just Berberine is one of those things because of the way it works and the fact that it doesn't it's not like a drug that overstimulates things. It's not like a stimulant, nor is it like a toxin that blocks something. This is the things that drugs do. Berberine doesn't do that. Berberine works with your natural hormones, your natural metabolism. So when I looked at all of the things that berberine does, that's not the only thing it does, GLP-1. It also works to increase cyclic AMP, which is a very important hormone for stimulating the utilization of fat for energy. It helps your liver. So berberine actually improves your metabolism. It decreases your risk of cancer and is even used. There are several books written on using it for if you already have cancer. You start taking berberine to shut down the metabolism of cancer. So wait a minute. You're telling me that you can use berberine to shut down the metabolism of cancer, but you're also telling me that it's good for your metabolism. What? How does that work? Okay, so it just turns out that's the way the metabolism of cancer requires glucose, and berberine tells your body don't use glucose, use fat for energy. Well, in diabetes, that's what you want.
Mhm.
So when you're eating frequently, that's what you want. So the switch in metabolism is switching away from a cancer metabolism and towards a healthier metabolism for your body. So that's why it works on obesity and diabetes and cancer and heart disease and blood pressure problems. It's just like berberine. If you have any of those problems, berberine's useful. So I wouldn't say wait until you have a problem to start with berberine. I'd say berberine's a good thing to start with anyway.
Is there anyone who should not take it? I mean, can you think of any reason, any health condition, any body type, anything that's like, oh,
No, I can't.
okay,
I
that's
can't.
good. That's
I
good.
think I haven't run across any time where berberine would not be useful.
Okay. All right. Cheryl's with us. Hi, Cheryl. We're happy to
So
have you here. I
glad
bet
to
you're
be
chomping
here.
at the bit with the question. We've been talking a
I
lot about this. So what do you got?
I have two questions. So you were talking about berberine. Well, we have berberine, which is 800 milligrams.
Yeah.
So you were talking about like 500 and 750. So if we have berberine, which is 800 milligrams, and the dosage is two capsules, do you take it twice a day? Like morning, evening?
Wait. There's 800 milligrams in two capsules?
So I was looking on our website, and that's what it said. 800 milligrams
Okay.
in two capsules. Take one capsule twice daily with food. So
Okay.
in the morning
Oh,
when
okay. Yeah. So it's one capsule 3 times a day. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. One capsule 3 times a day with food. Or just every time you eat a meal. So if you
yeah,
eat two meals a day, then take the berberine with the meal.
okay. My next question was about GLP-1s. A lot of people hear about the muscle wasting that happens when you're on Ozempic or these other drugs. You can tell when you look at them because they look a little thin, their muscle's gone. Is there the same concern with muscle wasting in berberine?
Good question. And the answer is no, absolutely not. Because it helps you to use your protein properly. And so it does not, because it shuts down the glucagon. Glucagon is what takes your protein out and makes it into sugar, and it stops that from happening. So no, you don't lose protein when you're using berberine.
That's worth it, in my
Yeah,
opinion. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that's better than like Ozempic, because
Mhm.
Ozempic, you're going to lose protein. And so we say, oh, nature's Ozempic is berberine. Well, no, it's better.
Right.
It's a
It is.
lot better.
How
Yeah.
how about A lot of people when they're taking the GLP-1s, they have to stay on them because they can either gain the weight back or they start to lose, they need more, they start to lose their effect or whatever. And obviously you don't want to be stuck on those prescription shots forever. With berberine, is it best to get on it and stay on it or cycle it? Long term, short term, like how do you see the most benefit, would you say?
Good question. Okay, there's been some research on this to indicate that you should take it more on an intermittent basis. So 5 days on, 2 days off. If you're going to take it long term, something like that. So a 5 days on, take weekends off, that kind of thing would be a useful way to go. It seems like after looking at several different herbs, especially plant extracts, like even with curcumin and they were using wormwood for thousands of years. Wormwood has been used for like malaria and parasites and things like that. And they found that if they use it every single day, that it didn't work, that people would get sick. But if they took it 5 days on, 2 days off, 5 days on, 2 days off, then it continued to prevent them from getting malaria. Well, then, other things started to being researched, and turmeric, same kind of thing. If the curcumin is given every single day, then you start getting tolerant to it, or you start allowing the body to get more inflammation in spite of it. Um, and berberine seems to have the same effect. So if you're for short term, it doesn't matter. For short term, if you're doing it for like 90 days, like 3 months, something like that, then every day is fine. But if you're going to go long term, you should probably be on a schedule, something like 5 days on, 2 days off.
Okay. And is that in general with most supplements?
That's most supplements should be taken that way. Even magnesium, mineral, if you take it every single day, your body loses the ability to absorb most of it. So you kind of get less and less absorption over time unless you take some time off.
Okay. All right. Well, before Cheryl asks her next question, I did drop the link in the chat for it goes to our berberine, and I will also drop the link for the turmeric product that we have. And if you use the webinar code Saunders25, you can save 25%. So I'll drop turmeric in there right now, and while Cheryl's
And
asking.
the and by the way, the turmeric, make sure when you get turmeric, the turmeric BP, people think it means Barton Publishing, but it's really turmeric with black pepper. And so the black pepper is not a small thing. It multiplies your absorption by 20 times. It really improves absorption. So
And I believe ours is pretty unique with that kind of black pepper, I do believe.
I'm seeing it more and more. When we first started, we were like the first one. So I don't know. This is like
The
there.
trailblazers.
Yeah, hardly anybody out there, but I'm seeing it more and more where they're putting black
The
pepper in with
secret is out.
Yeah,
turmeric. Yeah, yeah,
we were one of some of the firsts. I
yeah.
like that. Okay, I work in customer service, and I've heard this from customers that when they take berberine, sometimes their gut can to be a little, what do I say, soft, leaky, upset with when they take berberine. Why would they have that happen? What do you want to recommend to people if they get some digestive distress? Or I think some people call it berberine belly.
Yeah. Okay, so remember that what the GLP-1 does, one of the things it does is slows down the digestion and slows down the stomach so it doesn't empty as fast. And some people get nausea from that. And it's the same kind of nausea that women get when they're pregnant. We call it morning sickness. I just have that flu that's going around. There's no flu going around. Oh no, I'm pregnant. That kind of thing is not that uncommon. So the way you handle that is just to start with one. And that's one of the reasons why we used 400 milligrams. We used a concentrated 400 milligram dose in with the same amount of alkaloids that most people have in their 800 or 500 milligram. And so what you do is you just take one and take it with food. And then after a week or so, then go up to two, and then you can go up to three. So just kind of gradually work into it, and don't take it on an empty stomach.
Okay, good.
And about how long do you think should people expect before, they start to see a change either in their blood sugar or in their waistline or, start to really feel and see the effects? Like, what's a good guess there?
Oh, right away. It makes a difference. Like I was saying, GLP-1 lasts for, 10 minutes. This isn't something that you have to build up levels over long periods of time or anything like that. No, this is like it has an effect right away. So your hunger level drops down. You may not notice right off because it's not like, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, no, I'm not hungry. It's like, you know what? I haven't been eating as much as I used to eat,
Right,
that
the
kind of thing.
snacking urges are less, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Well, that's very, very helpful. Very helpful. All right, Cheryl, what's your next question?
Okay, well, talking about turmeric, it has black pepper in it. Our berberine is a little set apart because it has milk thistle in it. So, why is there milk thistle in our berberine? Is it helping make it gentler on the liver or for blood sugar? Or why did we do that? Add milk thistle to berberine.
Okay, so one of the things that berberine does is its effect on the liver. In slowing down the intestines, it also slows down the biliary system, the bile system, and so the milk thistle is helpful for the liver to move things through. So yes, it's help for the liver. That's what milk thistle is especially good for.
Okay. For those who might be taking metformin or blood pressure meds, or actually other medications as well, are there any red flags that they need to watch for when they add berberine? Any interactions with any other medications that people should watch for?
Um, Not specifically. A lot of people who are on metformin it would be better to switch to berberine and not take the two of them together. For the same reason like the liver, because of its effect on the liver. The metformin also has an effect on the liver. It's a little different mechanism, but you can increase your liver enzymes if you're taking them both together. So it's a better idea with metformin to switch to another one. And actually, for the oral medications for diabetes, I think berberine's a better choice overall compared to all of them. So I don't have a problem with switching out any diabetes medication. So, of course, you're going to have to talk to your doctor about the medication thing because I don't know why you're on medications, but consider that idea and say, okay, I'm going to switch out my diabetes medications for berberine.
What about people who uh turn to food, let's say, when they have like a bad night's sleep? So they uh crave food just to satiate themselves, uh cause that hunger, that pain to go away. Does berberine help with some of those that fill in those gaps moments when you're tired, but you just want to eat in order to get through the day?
Um, Okay, so that is a stress hormone thing. Like you don't sleep or
Yeah.
you're under some other kind of stress and you start craving things and you're like, yesterday, a friend of mine, we went for a walk, and he was talking about, my daughter she had to go to the doctor for issues that she was having, and he was just really stressed about it. And he gets home, he says, I don't care. I'm gonna have the junk food. And so he starts eating the junk food. And so sometimes it's that, I'm stressed. So because I'm stressed, I'm going to indulge myself in some way. Um, so the berberine doesn't get rid of your stress, but it does mitigate the release of those stress hormones from your adrenal glands. And so that's one of the ways that berberine works to improve insulin resistance is by decreasing the amount of stress hormones that you release. So in some ways, it might help with that, but it doesn't take the place of telling yourself no.
All right. Sib said that she said, I take berberine every morning immediately before I eat my breakfast. Breakfast consists of fruit, cottage cheese, low-fat Greek yogurt, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, tablespoon of almond butter, turmeric, glucosamine and chondroitin, saffron, ground flax seeds, chia, hemp with coconut milk. Breakfast is usually afternoon. I'm 5'9", 69 years old woman who've kept my 152 pounds of weight consistently. Should I be taking all of these things together?
Um, yeah, you can take them together. Yeah, j consider that it's food. You know,
Mhm.
these are extracts from food, and but again, you know, not every single day. But yeah, you can take all those things together.
Okay. All right. It seems to be working.
Yeah. Good work.
You're muted there, Cheryl.
Sorry. What other benefits are there of berberine? Have you guys already talked about that? You mentioned cancer,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
inflammation. Does it work for well, I guess stress, but
right.
is it anything with cholesterol, aging, heart disease,
Yeah.
neurological disorders, anything else? The
It
berberine.
improves it improves blood pressure. It decreases heart disease. It allows your blood vessels, the endothelium lining your blood vessels, to make more glycocalyx, which is the smooth gel that keeps your blood flowing. Somebody asked me just the other day, how is it that your thick blood can get through microscopic vessels? Because she had white matter disease in her brain. An MRI scan showed these little spots all over her brain. She was, you know, what does that mean? Well, it means that your blood isn't getting through the blood vessels. And she goes, how does that thick blood get through these microscopic blood vessels? Because, you know, it's thick. Well, you have a lining in there that is just uh, zero resistance. So the blood just moves through there very quickly and very easily, normally. But when you damage that glycocalyx, then it doesn't move through easily. And then you get the white matter brain disease and heart disease, but vascular disease all over. And so berberine helps that. Berberine helps you make that lining so that your blood flows smoothly. It's great.
Excellent. All right, let's get into some of the other natural ways for triggering the release of GLP-1. So, okay, couple here. I've read that about the bitter herbs used in traditional medicine for digestion, and that bitter flavor on the tongue can trigger the release of GLP-1s like further down in your gut. Have you heard of that? You know anything about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it aids digestion. The bitters help aid digestion in several different ways. Part of it is to make acid and digestive enzymes. You make digestive enzymes better. And then that's the interesting thing, though, like the GLP-1 is way down in the gut. It's way down at the end of the small intestine and then in the colon. That's where it's released. It's not released right up in the stomach and everything. It's way down. And so if you start off a meal with bitters, or ACV is also another one, apple cider vinegar. So yeah, you can start off with that. Apple cider vinegar is called a short chain fatty acid, and the so the acetate, the apple cider vinegar, the propionate, and the butyrate. Those are all things that help the release GLP-1, improve digestion, and improve absorption, slow it down, and make more enzymes. Yeah, so that's good.
Can you walk and get GLP-1 triggered?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about lifestyle getting
Mhm.
GLP-1. If you're getting more fibers in your diet, good fiber, then you make all of those short chain fatty acids like butyrate that are necessary for the production of GLP-1. There's also having the right kinds of fats and proteins. So good fats are omega-3 fats, and bad fats are omega-6 fats. So omega-6 fats, we had a whole discussion on this if you want to go and look up that one. But all of those corn oil, soy oil, canola oil, all the vegetable oils, all of that kind of stuff are bad fats. You don't want that. That's going to shut down your GLP-1. If you have omega-3 oils, which comes from flax seeds, chia seeds, and fish, and pretty much that's all. Walnuts have some, but it's really hard to get omega-3 oil. So you really only have three good sources generally. But other things like vegetables, I think broccoli, I looked it up. So broccoli, you have to eat a whole bunch of broccoli, like a whole pound of broccoli, uh, to get very much oil, but it's like 10 times more omega-3 than omega-6, so that the ratio is really good. So if you're eating vegetables and things, you're going to get the right kinds of oils, the right kinds of proteins, eggs, fish. Good proteins are something that helps to improve the GLP-1, so your intestines work more, less inflammation, and they make more GLP-1. So there's people that are number one, either causing themselves to make less GLP-1 because of inflammation, because of what they're eating, or they become resistant to GLP-1, which is what those injections do, make you resistant to GLP-1. So if you had like celiac disease, when you have inflammation, when you're eating a lot of stimulating things like sugar, 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 soda, 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 alcohol, alcohol, you're drinking all of this stuff that are damaging the lining, but it also makes you resistant to GLP-1. So those two processes, one not making it, one becoming resistant, avoid all of the inflammatory types of foods and eat a low inflammatory diet. What does that mean? Eat good food, natural food, things that don't have a
Lay off the processed.
the processed stuff, right? Things that don't have a list of ingredients. If it has a list of ingredients, then you probably shouldn't be eating it at all.
Exactly. Okay, here's a question from the Q&A. It's a little kind of has to do with like stacking the supplements. So this person wants to know what's the purpose of taking our blood sugar support if you're already using berberine and synochroma as part of phase one of the diabetes solution kit. So are there benefits of the blood sugar support or is the berberine and synochroma gonna handle that?
Okay, so synochroma is a different kind of support. Synochroma is primarily formulated because people who have type 2 diabetes tend to be deficient in these simple nutrients that are kind of hard to get: selenium, chromium, vanadium. They're not common in your diet. So this is just really support in terms of getting nutrients. We have had people on this program who have taken synochroma and said, that's all I did, and my blood sugar came back to normal.
Mhm.
I didn't change my diet at all. I didn't even do the diabetes solution kit, and it was all normal. Well, that person probably had a deficiency in one of those nutrients, got the nutrients, and he's like, boop, all of a sudden his glucose works. And that's the way it's supposed to work. So that's the support of synochroma. Berberine is a different support that helps metabolism in the cells that are using the sugar, different kind of issue. And then the blood sugar support is to help you to not feel so hungry, to allow you to be on the Diabetes Solution Kit program and go, okay, I can do this. So yeah, all of them.
Okay, excellent. And then Rose wants to know specifically about berberine if you can use it without the capsule. Can you pour it in a drink and use it, or would you lose the
No,
whole?
you don't lose anything. Sure. Yeah, you can break it open. People like I have people that throw the capsules in their smoothie that they're making. They just throw the capsules right in and just blend it all up with it. Yeah. not a problem.
Okay, David Brown, a faithful friend here, asks, I've used berberine and some turmeric and have followed your diabetes solution kick, I believe, 188 pounds, BMI around 25, but is berberine helpful for cancer prevention and other uses?
Well, it seems to, yes. Yes. It's the research has shown it is significantly it helps prevent certain types of cancer, the metabolic types of cancer. So intestinal cancers, liver cancer, those kinds of things. Um, um, so what was the second part of the question?
Just is it good for cancer selection or cancer prevention and other
Yeah.
uses?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and other uses. Yeah, so lowers your blood pressure, helps prevent heart disease, helps the lining of your blood vessels make glycocalyx better, and so the blood flows better through your blood vessels, and yeah, yeah.
All right, David, did that answer your question? If not, right back, we'll go at it again.
There you go. All right, I see R has said I've used the diabetes solution kit to get from 9.1 to 5.2 A1C. In the process, I've lost about 15 to 20 pounds too much. I'm reluctant to add processed foods, good, or potatoes, rice, etc. Looking for a whey protein supplement, but they all have artificial sweeteners. Can I safely use some of these to gain weight? And then before you answer that, are also asked, how can we get coaching? And so I am going to put the link for the Barton coaching in the chat. If you're interested, you can sign up for a free session with one of our coaches. So yeah, how can R safely gain weight?
Okay, thank you. So, so I'm hoping that as you were doing the diabetes solution kit, that you're getting enough protein and everything, so that the weight that you lost was fat and not muscle. And that's the ideal, as opposed to people that are like doing the GLP-1 agonist injections. They tend to lose about half their weight would be muscle. So when you want to gain weight, you don't want to gain fat. You want to gain muscle, and that's the weight you want to gain. You want to be filled out with muscle. And so the way to do that is to get protein. And so look at your diet in terms of protein and increase the protein. And you may need about 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. And that's what I'm doing. It's a lot. I know. I've been doing the research. I'm like, there's no way. How do you get that much protein? So, between 30 and 40 grams of protein is 16 ounces of cottage cheese. That's a big container. Or 8 cheese sticks. So that's like the cheese part. So I've been doing two things. Bone broth you can get if you get a really thick bone broth that gels when it's in the refrigerator. That's how you know it's a good bone broth when it gels, when it's cool. It is around 15 to 20 grams of really good protein per 8-ounce cup, right? And so that, if you have a good bone broth, you can add in protein pretty well. Milk adds some protein, cheese, that kind of thing. Eggs are only about 6. So you got to add this up to like 100, or for me, it'd be 150, 160 grams of protein a day if I want to build muscle. And that's what I've been doing. And it works. It works. I went from 150 to 160 pounds, 5 pounds, and it's all muscle because I've been working out. So that's the two things you need to do is add protein and work out. And if you add a few other things, there's creatine, which you take about 5 grams, 20 grams of it when you start off. Um, Creatine, and then L-carnitine. L-carnitine helps you use the fat for energy instead of taking proteins out and making them into sugar. So And then you get branched chain amino acids, and you can take protein supplements. You know what? Okay, so you said whey protein, the sugar. Absolutely, don't use those. But you can get a whey protein that has nothing in it. It's just pure whey protein. And that's what I have at home. I use that. And then the other one is the collagen peptides. And you get that without any flavorings or anything in it. And then that's easy to just mix it in water and drink it down. That's what I do.
Okay, Mary asks, you have said that berberine can be used in place of metformin. I'm supposed to take 4 500 milligram tablets of metformin once daily. Can I take 2 tablets of metformin and replace the other 2 tablets of berberine to get the same results?
You might be able to do that, but before you change your medications, talk with your doctor so that you know specifically if that applies to you. The dose of metformin is about 1 gram twice a day, and so that would be the right way to do it. But if you're taking it all together once a day, then you probably have the long-acting form, and not the immediate release. So then, yeah, work with your doctor on that if you want to switch that out. But the answer to your question is, I would have no problem with that. In fact, from 2 grams of metformin, I would just go straight to taking one 400 milligram berberine capsule every day,
Okay.
or with every meal is what I mean.
Okay. All right. So we have a question from, I think it's Manja. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name.
Manya.
Manya. Manya wants to know, what is high SHGB and what supplements would help? Why do the hormones bind to the liver? Thank you.
Okay, sex hormone binding globulin is a protein that holds on to steroid hormones. And the steroid hormones we call sex hormones, and that is testosterone, DHEAS, estrogen, progesterone, and then estrone, estriol, estradiol. Okay, so those hormones, it's really awesome the way the body works. You guys, this is like amazing how the system works such that you're making these hormones and your body has a way to hold on to them and save them and guard them and prevent them from just going around and binding to every receptor, that you can have it released in small amounts and have it available everywhere. And that's sex hormone binding globulin. So that globulin is a protein that holds on to these steroid hormones, and it lets them go a little by little. So there's the free hormone that isn't bound, and then you have the bound hormone. And the when the sex hormone binding globulin is really high, it usually means there's a lot of stress. It's a reaction that the body has to stress, to grab onto all your proteins and hold on to them while you're stressed, and then let them go when your stress goes away. So the idea is a beautiful idea. It's perfect. But if you have long-term stress with high stress sex hormone binding globulin, then it's going to affect how those hormones can support your system, your body properly. And so you lose that support. So what do you do about it? Work on your stress. Because stress comes from a lot of different sources. You have physical stress, and so I've actually had cases of this where a man with low testosterone and he's training for a triathlon, and so I called around to the doctors I know, and one of them said, "Oh yeah, duh. When you're training for a triathlon, you're under a whole lot of physical stress." And you're going to make a whole bunch of sex hormone blind globulin. So it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be metabolic or chemical if you have toxins and things like that. So finding the source of your stress and then removing that would be one way to do it. And what was the last? There was the last part of the question, right? Was there another, Jody?
Let me see. I'm typing the answer to another one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh, why? It was what supplements would help and why do they bind to the liver? Or what
Oh,
we're talking
oh,
about?
why do the proteins bind to the liver? No, 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 they don't bind to the liver. They bind to the hormones. That's what it is. But they do come out of the liver, so they're made by the liver.
Okay.
Yeah. And is there any supplement to help with that? If you're inflamed and causing a whole bunch of sex hormone binding globulins, then and turmeric and quercetin and berberine, turmeric, yeah, BP, berberine, and ashwagandha lowers the stress hormones, and boswellia. So those are the kinds of things that you can use to lower the sex hormone binding globulin, if that's your problem. It's a big if.
All
All
right.
right. You got one?
Yes. Here. Which is better, berberine hydrochloride or dihydroberberine? I read that dihydroberberine has about 5 times absorption than the HCl. Please comment.
Um, Gosh, it's been a long time. We researched this when we were first looking at the berberine, and I don't recall. I can't remember any specifics about it. So I'll research that and I'll get back to you.
All right, Daniel, come back for the answer. Okay. I like this guy. I'm sorry, Judy. She says, my friend from Rangoon, Burma, was told she has brain cancer that has such a low rate of survivability. They don't recommend surgery. She's in her 30s. What would you recommend to help her? I wish I could help her.
You know what? When you have someone that young with such a terrible cancer, you just go all out and say, okay, we're going to, okay, so I had a young man, well, he's in his 50s, to me is a young man, who had prostate cancer, stage 4, spread all over his body. You might live 8 months, kind of thing. And we said, and they said, we're going to do surgery and chemotherapy. He goes, no, 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 no. And so he decided on doing ivermectin, fenbendazole combination, and 6 months later, he's cancer-free. MRI scan, zero cancer.
Wow.
PSA test normal. Like he's here. So he was like preparing to die, and now he's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with my life now? I let everything go, and now here I am, normal with no cancer. So, I don't know what the answer is, but because of my experience with that combination, start with that.
What was the second beside ivermectin?
Ivermectin and fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole, yeah,
How do
yeah.
you get that?
Well, it's actually a dog dewormer. You can get it online. Yeah. And you can look it up for the dose. It depends on your weight and all that.
Mm. Well, Judy, I hope you provide that information for your friend. Might be helpful.
Mhm. All right, we have time for one more, Cheryl. You got one more question there from our chat or from the Q&A?
Sure. I heard that turmeric is a blood thinner. This is Joyce. If taking a blood thinner from cardiologist, should I not use turmeric?
Okay. Excellent question. So, there's a lot of these blood thinners that aren't really blood thinners. Okay, so a blood thinner is something that stops you from clotting. So somehow prevents clotting so that you keep bleeding. So aspirin is a blood thinner because it blocks the platelets that aggregate that would normally block bleeding. So you rupture blood vessels, you're taking aspirin, and you get these little blood spots and bruises all over your body because you have thin blood, right? It's thin. That means it just keeps bleeding. Yeah, and you have, warfarin is a blood thinner, and there's a Xarelto. There's a whole bunch of them now. So, drugs that are blood thinners. Okay, turmeric is not a blood thinner. It does not stop you from clotting. You clot normally. What it does is it prevents you from having excessive clots inside your blood vessels. Because it helps you make the glycocalyx, so the blood flows smoothly, doesn't get any tears in it, and doesn't get clotting on the edge of the blood vessels. And it lowers inflammation. So because it blocks the IL-6 and TNF alpha, you don't get this excessive clotting, and so it drops the excessive clotting. But if you rupture a blood vessel, you're going to clot with turmeric. Turmeric is not a blood thinner. Okay, that's the same with omega-3. They said the same thing about omega-3. Oh, that's a blood thinner. No, it decreases inflammation so you don't clot excessively. So, do you call that a blood thinner? Well, they do, but that's not really what we're talking about. It's not a blood thinner. It just prevents excessive clotting.
There's a lot of danger around those blood thinners for sure, and so it's not acting in the same way.
Right, exactly.
Good, good, good. All right. Well, I cannot believe that we are at the top of the hour. Oh my
Me
goodness.
either.
There are so many more
Yeah.
questions in the Q&A and on our list about, so many things. So thank you, Dr. Saunders, for your time. We appreciate it, and we will see you back here next week. Something else you want to say? Uh-oh,
There was. Okay.
Okay, you tell it.
So berberine hydrochloride has been around a lot longer. It's proven, and it's better for the gut modulation. So it's better actually because it gets down into the lower intestines for the GLP-1. So that's what the berberine hydrochloride. The dihydroberberine is a cleaner. It seems to work better. It's more efficient metabolically. So it seems like the dihydroberberine is better at increasing the cyclic AMP that helps your body burn fat for energy. So it's better for burning fat. So the dihydroberberine would be better for replacing metformin, for example, whereas the berberine hydrochloride would be better if you want a GLP-1 type.
All right. Good to know. That was fast. Thank you so much.
All right. I answered the question.
Answered the question. It's
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right, I know that was a lot of information. So we do have some other resources for you about berberine. So I went ahead and dropped in the chat two past webinar episodes that Dr. Saunders, where he talked about berberine and the uses. One of them was the berberine effect, and the other one was specifically on blood sugar. And then I know that Cheryl, there were some articles. I know. Yeah, go ahead.
One of them, when is the best time to take berberine? I'm going to put that in the chat. He kind of referenced that 3 times a day with your meals. But then this article is quite exhaustive. It's a berberine, best of the best berberine for health benefits. So this article will give you like everything you want to know about berberine. It talks about the cancer, how it affects cancer, how it affects obesity, how it affects PCOS. That's also a must read. In the chat now.
Absolutely. All right. So those are in the chat. And then as a reminder, if you miss any of the links that we share here during the webinar, if you go over to the YouTube channel and search Barton Webinars, so you find our channel. If you find today's webinar, go into the live section and find today's webinar. As soon as we wrap up later today, I will be adding a description to all that. And then I'll put all of these links in that description so that you can always have a way to get to them and continue with your learning. So I know we did not get to a lot of I'm sorry, we got to a lot of questions today. I know we did not get to all of the questions today. So please come on back next week and we are going to be starting a new topic. We're getting ready to talk about heart health because February is American Heart Month. So we have a couple weeks of heart health coming your way and we'll take all your questions again next week. So thanks so much for being here today. And we look forward to seeing you back next week.
One question. Gary asks, when will the recording of this webinar be available? And will it have a specific number? Do you know the
Oh,
number
yeah.
webinar?
I can tell you the number in about 2 seconds here. I will have it available. I usually have it available out on YouTube within the hour. It has to process and do some downloading. So let me look here and I can tell you the number. And if you go into the webinar, the channel and you go to the live, the latest ones should show up first. But let's see. Last week we talked about GLP-1s and diabetes, and that was 315. So this week will be episode 316.
All right, thanks.
All right. I'm glad you were able to join us, Cheryl, today. I'm glad you made it through your traffic. We're happy to have you. And we will look forward to seeing the rest of you back here next week.
Yeah.